What if I told you that you could get a bigger tax refund this year just by having kids? Sounds like a dream, right? Well, it could become a reality very soon. There's a new bill in the works that could boost the child tax credit and make it fully refundable for millions of families. But what is the child tax credit and how could this new bill change it? And more importantly, how can you claim it before the tax filing season ends? That's what I'm going to show you in this video. So if you're a parent or you're planning to become one, you don't want to miss this. Stay tuned and let's dive in. Imagine getting a bigger tax refund this year just because you have kids. Sounds amazing, right? Well, it could become a reality very soon. If you're a parent, you know how expensive it is to raise a child. From diapers to daycare, from food to clothes, from education to entertainment, the costs add up quickly. And that's why the government offers you a tax break, call it the child tax credit. The child tax credit is a benefit that reduces your tax liability based on the number and age of your children. Tax liability is the amount of tax that you owe to the government after subtracting your deductions and credits. The lower your tax liability, the less tax you have to pay or the more refund you can get. For 2023, the child tax credit was $2,000 per child under 17 and $500 per child 17 or older. That means if you had 2 kids under 17, you could reduce your tax liability by $4,000. And if you had 1 kid under 17 and 1 kid over 17, you could reduce your tax liability by $2,500. Sounds great, right? Well, not so fast. There was a catch. Not everyone could get the full amount of the credit because it was limited by your income and tax liability. The child tax credit was subject to income limits, meaning that if your income was too high, the credit would start to phase out or decrease gradually. For single filers, the income limit was $200,000. For married couples filing jointly, it was $400,000. And for heads of household, it was $200,000. If your income was above these limits, the credit would phase out by $50 for every $1,000 of income above the limit until it reached zero. The child tax credit was also subject to tax liability limits, meaning that if your tax liability was too low, the credit would be capped by your tax liability. For example, if you had 2 kids under 17 and your tax liability was $1,500, you could only get $1,500 of the credit, not $4,000. The rest of the credit was not refundable, meaning you couldn't get it as a cash payment. The only exception was the additional child tax credit, which was a portion of the child tax credit that was refundable for some low-income families. But the additional child tax credit was only 15% of your earned income above $2,500, up to a maximum of $1,400 per child. So even if you qualified for the additional child tax credit, you still couldn't get the full amount of the child tax credit. As you can see, the child tax credit for 2023 was not very generous for many families, especially those with low income or high income. But that could change soon, thanks to a new bill that could make the child tax credit bigger and better for 2024 and beyond. Now, you might be wondering, what's the catch? How can the government afford to give you such a generous tax break? Well, the answer is they can't. Not without raising taxes on some other groups, such as corporations and wealthy individuals. That's why the new bill is called the American Families Plan. The plan proposes to increase the credit to $3,000 per child between 6 and 17 and $3,600 per child under 6. That means if you have 2 kids under 6, you could get $7,200 of the credit instead of $4,000. And if you have 1 kid under 6 and 1 kid over 6, you could get $6,600 of the credit instead of $4,000. That's a huge difference, right? And that's not all. The plan also proposes to make the credit fully refundable, meaning you could get the full amount of the credit even if your tax liability is 0. So, even if you don't owe any taxes or you don't have any income, you could still get the credit as a cash payment. That's a big deal because it means that the credit would reach more low-income families who need it the most. And the best part is, you could get the credit in advance, as monthly payments starting in July 2024 instead of waiting until you file your taxes. The IRS would send you half of the credit in 12 equal installments, from July 2024 to June 2025, and you would claim the other half when you file your 2024 tax return. For example, if you have 2 kids under 6 and you qualify for the full credit, you could get $600 per month or $300 per child from July 2024 to June 2025, and then get another $3,600 when you file your taxes. That's like getting an extra income every month to help you cover your expenses and save for your future. So, how do you qualify for this bigger and better child tax credit? Well, there are a few requirements. First, you need to have a child who is a U.S. citizen, national, or resident alien, and who has a social security number. Second, you need to have income below certain thresholds, depending on your filing status. For single filers, the income limit is $75,000. For married couples filing jointly, it's $150,000. And for heads of household, it's $112,500. If your income is above these limits, the credit will phase out gradually until it reaches the original amount of $2,000 or $500 per child. Third, you need to claim your child as a dependent on your tax return and provide their name, date of birth, and social security number. You also need to provide your own name, address, and social security number, or individual taxpayer identification number if you don't have a social security number. And finally, you need to file your 2023 tax return by May 17, 2024, or request an extension if you need more time. This will help the IRS verify your eligibility and send you the correct amount of the credit. If you meet all these requirements, you could get a bigger tax refund this year, thanks to the new child tax credit bill. But remember, this bill is not yet law, and it could change or face opposition before it passes. So, don't count on the money until you actually receive it. And if you do receive it, make sure you use it wisely and save some for your future tax obligations. Because the advance payments are based on your 2023 income and family situation, they could differ from your actual 2024 credit, and you might have to pay back some or all of the money if you receive more than you're entitled to. Well, that's all I have for you today. I hope you learned something new and valuable from this video. If you did, please show your support by hitting the like button and sharing this video with your friends and family. This will help me reach more people who could benefit from this information. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel and turning on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. I upload new videos every 2 days, covering topics related to taxes, finances, and personal growth. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I love hearing from you, and I'll do my best to reply to you as soon as possible. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time, stay smart, stay savvy, and stay awesome.